All right, guys. So we have a interesting show today. We're going to go over the top, income producing activities of real estate agent and real estate team leaders. I am Ryan Rodenbeck, and I'm joined with Matt Edwards, my associate. Today we have special guest Lee Adkins with Amplified Solutions and John McCarthy, our sales manager. So join us in 1 second, and we will get off to it. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with Spyglass Realty with Ryan Rodenbeck and Matt Edwards. Before we start, Matt, well, first of all, we've got a little bit of a different format here. The room was getting a little tight with guests, so we separated and trying to make it a little more interactive.
Don't let it fool you. Ryan just got tired of sitting next to me, so he's got me on this camera set up elsewhere in another room. So I guess I must have or something.
I needed a different angle, right? So tell us what's going on in the news.
All right, so the numbers for September for Austin's housing market just came out. So pricing was up 4.2%, and inventory was down 12%. So basically, there's less homes on the market. There's still lots of demand for housing, so pricing is going up. So that should continue probably on into October. And they just released a study that if Amazon selects Austin as its second headquarters, that it will have a 8.5% to 16% increase in housing prices just from that, because the sheer number of people and jobs that will move to the city if Amazon selects Austin. So it will just basically speed up the pricing of housing. So it's gone up every month. It's continuing to go up, and that will only add to it. So there we go. I mean, it's just housing.
Yeah, and Matt and I are on two different sides of this. I don't think they're coming. Matt does think they're coming. We'll have Lee Adkins in here pretty soon, and I think Atlanta is in the forefront of that. So
we need to make this interesting. We need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can we do here?
Also, in other news, I've been getting texts and Facebook messages from around the nation about the floods in the Highland Lakes. As of yet, it has not affected us in Austin. Lake LBJ, there's definitely homes flooding. Kingsland, is that where Angelina's family's from? Yeah, so. Yeah. So there's definitely they're feeling it over there. I believe they've released all 8 of the floodgates, which could theoretically cause some flooding in Austin. I think the Pleasant Valley Bridge could, I think this saw something in the news get almost that high.
They banned everybody from being on Lake LBJ, so they shut down all the rentals, kayaks and paddleboards and things like that, because the flow of the water now is so fast, because all the floodgates are open. And things are moving rapidly, but so far, city seems to be good. And we got some rain today, and I think we're going to get some rain tomorrow, but it's not nearly as heavy and consistent as it has been.
Yeah, and Lake Travis is full. The Greenbelt, Barton Creek Greenbelt is flowing like crazy. I have a friend that has a house overlooking the flats, and my wife was at their house the other day and saw, it's flowing like crazy, and saw some idiot on a paddleboard flowing down there. So, be safe out there. Don't do it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get Lee in right away. Kelly, if you could plug Lee in.
Hello there.
Lee, how you doing?
Great. How are you guys?
Hey, Lee, how are you?
I am great. Matt, I heard your little wager comment about HQ2. Yeah,
so what do you got? You got any suggestions? Should we
to what, lean things your way?
No, like I'm just trying to think of something. If I lose, I got to do something, and if I win, Ryan has to do something. Whether it's wear a funky wig for one of these videos, I don't know, but kind of makes fun out of this deal.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let me sleep on that. I'll come up with something good though.
Yeah, because we've been back and forth on it for months now, and it's getting close. We're supposed to make a decision by the end of the year, so we will see.
Okay, so we're going to plug in Johnny as well. Okay, let me do some introductions, here. This is Lee Adkins, and he has been a consultant of mine for a couple of years now. And Lee, well, wait, let me just stop. Okay, if you are watching this on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe. We've got more great content, a lot of agent training, in the past, but even more coming up. So if you're watching this on Facebook, type the word agent in the comment section. If you have any questions about anything that we're talking about, put it in the comment section. We'll get right to it. So for introductions, we've got Lee Adkins with Amplified Solutions. And we have John McCarthy. And John McCarthy is our sales manager and trainer for Spyglass Realty. And so I thought this, when I was looking for a show that was going to talk about what are income producing activities for agents and teams, I'm like, this is the dream team for several reasons, right? One, a couple of years ago, I was trying to make more of a transition from a top producing agent to a broker manager. And what we figured out here, people on Instagram, what we figured out here is that I needed more structure. Okay. And that is what Lee does. Lee, tell us a little bit about, where you're at in your career, how did you get here? And what exactly do you do?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. So I came up actually in the music business. We won't go into that today. But it's interesting. I will circle back to that in a minute. I did real estate sales for about 6 years, saw some changes come into the market and decided I was more interested in helping teams and brokerages organize what they were doing than just being directly in the field myself. So ultimately I've transitioned into an organizational role, found I was very, very good at that, and therefore started just talking with other top teams and brokerages about, hey, how do we make this a business and really move forward with a plan? As you mentioned, most people who are great at selling real estate, it's really hard to transition into being a business owner. So it's interesting to me to crack that code. And sometimes it is a function of you just being a really strong agent and maybe hiring that person. For you, Ryan, you've obviously been able to move into more of a management role, and that's great. But that's and back to the music thing. So I was a bass player. So it puts me in a unique place to help drive the train without having to be the front man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and so, you're a real estate agent for a little while, right? And you're still working for a company. You do consulting for a company still, right?
Yes.
For Sold Sisters, is that right?
I work with a team here in Atlanta called the Atlanta Sold Sisters. It's about an 8 licensee team. It's been bigger than that. It's been smaller than that, but that is the sweet spot. And that model's more experienced agents, very much.
Got you. And so the way I came to know Lee is, I'm in the curator community where, they're a vendor of ours. They do some coaching, and in the first curator conference, Lee was, basically talking about, how to structure, more of the logistics side, not, you could call yourself a coach, but it's not like you're raw coach. It's more like, here's the strategy part of it, right? What do you do when you're trying to grow your company? What systems do you put in place? Because if you're not with a business like, not with Keller Williams or a big box firm, some of this stuff isn't really cut and dry. Yeah. So, what I wanted to do, I had basically an assistant, Sonny Tracy, who, as we became bigger, she became so much more than that. So we made her the office manager. As we started growing, and I'm still doing my own production, we needed a sales manager, and that's, enter, John McCarthy. So Johnny, give us a brief, outline of how you came to Spyglass Realty, how we found you, and what, what your experience has been the last couple of years.
Yeah. So I've been licensed since 2006, and, spent 12 years in California, and then moving here, I was with some of the big brokers in the country, and moving here, I was looking for something specific that I could just plug myself into, hit the ground running hard, that's already has everything that I knew I needed to grow into. So, when I met with Ryan and he showed me everything that he was doing, he was getting started and just recognizing where it was going to go, I knew that was exactly the fit that I could plug into and really help take not only just my business, but grow even a brokerage as well. And cool. I can thanks Lee for some of that too, because I get now coaching from Lee as well.
Yeah. So we have structures that we're working with. So, basically Lee helps us, he helped me put kind of the structure of our team together. Speaking of that, Lee, tell us, what kind of structures do you recommend for people and team? What kind of structures do you see out there, and what are the ones that you recommend? How do you help a company go from 4 to 10 to 15, kind of like we did?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll try to give you a couple of definitive examples, but I'd like to think some of the magic is really assessing the players that are already there. So if you take, let's bring in somebody to help manage the agents. In your case, obviously what we did was, you were coming out of production. So we wanted to kind of push you up, or push your price point up at least, and then get Johnny in supporting the agents. And then what you do is then you grow, Johnny will recognize other agents that are strong, and then they move up the chain. So there's definitely not a one size fits all. I think, a lot of times the strengths of owners are either marketing or sales. Really, those are probably the two that we see the most. So, is it that we put them in a position to be a strong marketer and get out of the way?
And organization is rarely one of those skills, right?
Yeah, very rare.
For me, and what I realize is, like, I'm good at sales. I'm good with people, but I also have a passion for marketing. And after doing sales for 14 years, even longer before real estate, like, I didn't want to fucking do it anymore, right? I just got tired of it. And I would rather, teach people sales, and I love marketing. So I talk about when an agent, agents call me at night, other agents, and I have these problems with sellers at night you have to deal with. And I remember, about a year ago, one of my agents, Lauren, called me at she's like, I started bugging to talk to you at 9 o'clock. And I was sitting there with my family, and she had this really difficult situation going on. And it didn't bother me at all, right? I got off the phone, and I was like, thank God. I'm happy to be helping her at 9 o'clock. I wouldn't want to be her at 9 o'clock at this stage of my career.
Right.
So,
it's multiplication is the thing. If you can teach more people to do that, or teach your sales managers to do that, and then they each have 5 people under them, then that's a business. And
that's what's happening now with Johnny and Sonny, the beautiful thing. So, we talk about training. Johnny, this question's for you. We're talking about income producing activities, right? But we're going to talk about income producing activities for new agents and for seasoned agents. But going back to training, what do you recommend, the actual training an agent needs to start off in their business?
Training to start off, if they're brand new, I think they need to know how to talk the business, and that's gonna come with practice and messing up. And you can learn that very easily by reading dialogue that someone else has put together, and you do that until you create your own experience. Because a lot of what we learn in this business is what we learn in the field and navigating through the negotiations and everything. But I think that's first and foremost, and then knowing where to apply that. Who are you going to talk to? Where are you getting those people that you're going to talk to? If you don't have a marketing plan, find someone that does and help them. If you have leads provided, contact those people, because you need to start talking to real people about real estate.
We have a curriculum here when we started Spyglass Realty. You go through, it's not like you're in depth like Keller Williams or some of these guys that do 90-day courses, but we have the conversion code that by Chris Smith that they have to go through, and then we have a series of video trainings that we do. Johnny goes through and does coaching calls with our agents. I even do a pretty long one once they've gone through the curriculum. What's interesting was we just hired a new agent, and she's not brand new, but she came from another company that they didn't provide the support. And during the interview, we had it on Monday, she signed up on the spot. And she said, you know, what do you do all day as a brand new agent? And you know, Matt was in the other room. So let me just give you a little bit of history of Matt, right? And I'll let Matt take it here in just a second. But Matt was a brand new agent, very smart guy, interviewed, you know, probably, you know, 5 or 6 different brokerages. And he's probably one of the best examples of being able to ramp up to top producer status in like 12 months. And so I'm like, well, let's bring Matt in here. Matt, you know, what do you do? And, you know, kind of go through what you went through with me and Christina yesterday or Monday.
So, yeah, I mean, where I see most new agents fail is they stay in the comfort of their home office or wherever that's at, and they don't get around people to listen and learn. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits you can do as a new agent, because frankly, you know, for the first couple of months, you're still going to be trying to figure out what to do, what to say, things like that. And there's no better way to speed that up than by being in the office, being around other agents, being around the broker, the team leader, listening to their conversations, having conversations with them. Because, you know, if you're sitting at the house, you have a question, you text or you call, and that's kind of hard to get the proper communication in. Whereas when you're in the office, if you're going through stuff or you have a situation, you can quickly get help right there on the spot and have a more detailed conversation on how to best work through that situation that you're in. And it just drastically speeds up the learning curve. But you got you got to pay attention, you got to listen, and you've got to learn.
Yeah. So when Matt interviewed with me, you know, he said, well, are we going to be, you know, is this your office? We were in a different office at that time. And it was kind of like a one big, huge open room. And he's like, do you mind if I come in like every day and sit here and listen to you? And it's like, okay, sure. And like, you know, people have said that before, but like Matt's been here every single day since that happened. And like, I would have conversations with sellers, I'd have conversations with agents, and Matt would stop what he was doing and listen. And like, that's probably the biggest advice I could give to someone. If you're going to start your business as an agent and you really want to learn, you know, find someone that you can shadow, right? And in this case, it was me. He was in the office listening to me and Sonny as well, right? You know, because you know, we're doing a bunch of deals.
And that didn't add any burden to you as far as, you know, you having to take the time to talk to me for 30 minutes on the phone or answer questions or this or that. Whereas like I'm just there like a fly on the wall kind of deal. And you're just doing your thing, you know, no interruptions, no getting sidetracked. Hey, I'm just.
And what's interesting about that is the agents that have done the best in the last couple of years in such a short period of time, besides Johnny, but Johnny was already trained, right? He was just a lead machine, but have been you and Angelina. Lee, were you going to chime in there?
Yeah, no, I was going to kind of just second what Matt said. I mean, the reality of it is that goes two ways, because it starts to also instill trust in you that he knows what he's talking about. And so when a lead comes in and you're like, well, that one's $250. I don't want, you know, I really don't feel like putting this dude in my car. Who are you going to give it to? I mean, it's literally human nature. You're just gonna be like, hey, Matt, you want to take this?
Yeah. Yeah. One second, guys, if you're watching, I see a few people watching. If you have any questions, you know, chime in. We're happy to answer them. Kelly, if you see any questions, put them on. Let's see. I had another question here. Let's see. Okay. One of the questions I got recently was, what are the income producing activities of a new agent, right? And so if you're out there looking for your brokerage, okay, the agents that we take from other brokerages, and you know what is it? Lee, the average fallout rate is like what, in 18 months, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's probably.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that people are picking the wrong brokerage. You know, and if you're new in town or you're not connected and you're going to a place that provides very little support or leads, then you're destined to fail, right? So, you know, with our brokerage model and a lot of others, we have leads that we not only train our agents to take, but also supply them to the agents, right? That's not, we're not giving out, you know, 10 leads a day though, right? So what is it? I'm going to ask you guys first, like, what is it that you can do to, besides the company leads, to generate more, you know, of your own leads? Johnny, I'll start with you. What do you have for those kind of income producing activities?
Yeah. So, you know, and it's kind of great with the role that I'm in, because I work with so many agents that do a lot of different money-making activities for their business. And something simple is put together, you know, kind of a marketing plan for your neighborhood, where you're branding yourself in your neighborhood and getting people to know you there through networking. That personal touch and that rapport that you build instantly is wonderful. There's networking events, philanthropic. I can't say that word right now. Things in the community. You know, personally, there's a community and events that I participate in where I attract referrals for business.
Like you work that area, right? You know?
Yeah. And actually, I'll pass the ball to Matt, because there's a lot that he does that it's a little bit different avenue than that, which is you see a lot of his Instagram stories and stuff kicking off now.
Yeah, go back as far as, you know, when I first started out, because I mean, I didn't know, I just moved to the city, didn't know anybody, no network. So it was in the office. And then on the weekends, it was working open houses, Saturday and Sunday. And, you know, I generated $1 million in business in the first 6 months, just off working open houses. And when you factor in, okay, you know, 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday, that's pretty good. You know, pretty good. When you factor in income to hours off that, you know, $1 million in deals, that was good. And it was just, and it built, you know, my database up, just meeting new people. Even if only one person came to that open house that Saturday, or nobody, it is what it is. It's still, you're getting practice and you're getting your name out there, and you just keep doing it every day.
You're getting a good return on your investment.
That's the part where a lot of people drop the ball, though, because that doesn't feel as sexy as getting a bunch of online leads or running this ad or doing this thing or chasing people around. You know, get face to face.
And they should, like, face to face. To me, there's no better way, because you can knock off your no, like, and trust categories right off the bat.
Right.
If you're doing your job at the open house and you're actually talking to the potential home buyer, you can do all that in a matter of, you know, 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Depending on how the conversation goes, and then boom, you're off and running. Yeah,
and I think the key to that is this, right? Is that you really need to know what you're talking about before you do this, right? And like, and that's what, like, this all kind of coming together. It's like in the office, listening to whoever. I'm gonna echo here, but
sounds good.
Listening to conversations in real estate, being able to regurgitate those conversations, and then you use that to have conversations out there in the real world. So what you want to do there is, you know, get the training, listen, know how to have conversations, know how to use the conversion code. You know, we were in a conference last week and they were talking about knowing exactly what to say. You know, basically you're taking everything you're saying already and turning them in a way that will influence them, not in a trick you kind of way. Like, everyone needs to work with a real estate agent. They just don't know that they need to work with you, right? And so that's a big thing. So this goes along with, like, veteran agents as well that may get into a lull, or maybe they're having a bad year, or, you know, like, ongoing training is important. So I want to answer that question in a different way, right? So, like, what can agents do that are brand new? First of all, get with a company that's you know, providing them with leads, right? Second of all, social media is king, okay? Instagram is really, really important. Facebook as well, right? And I think you need to balance that out. You need to have a very delicate balance with that. In other words, Facebook is very personal, and you don't want to be the brand new agent that's posting 5 times a day about, oh, I'm in real estate, send me a referral. You know, you want to be providing value on social media. And that's what it's all about. If you learn something that day, that's, you know, not just your fucking market reports or something like that, but, you know, how to upgrade a house, how to determine what the red flags are, you know.
And beyond that, I mean, obviously you have value, and then entertainment, like behind the scene, just ongoing stuff. It doesn't, like Johnny referenced my Instagram stories. It's, you know, I've got 4 remodel projects going on right now. So I try to give, you know, walkthroughs of the projects, kind of updates, things like that on my Instagram stories. And I don't do the best job of it, but I try to, you know, remember to do it and just give a quick update so they can kind of see the progress of the home, all the stuff that goes into remodeling a home.
Yeah. And speaking of Instagram, so we did a training the other day. And by the way, we're doing ongoing training in social media. Okay. And I just released one. I don't even think I put it on Facebook yet about, you know, how to pick your hashtags and what they call the stair step effect. Kelly, I can't see the broadcast right now, but if you haven't already, put the link into the description below, and so people can, you know, check out that post. And then, you know, another thing we want to talk about, and just briefly, we've covered this before, but like tech tools, right? The CRM. And Lee, I'm going to bring this to you, right? So you're, you know, Lee is probably the master of the CRM. I don't know anybody that knows it better. How do you recommend people organize their CRM?
Yeah, so it's like
relation management, by the way.
Yeah, it's like all things. It's got to be simple. I mean, everything is kind of simple but complex. So you need to figure out what are the primary buckets, for lack of a better term, that you want people to be in. You know, I think a problem, you know, a lot of us, if I can go ahead and just say it, a lot of us use Follow Up Boss. It's one that I highly recommend. Certainly there are others. Certainly they are great if you have a strategy behind using it. But for Follow Up Boss, you know, they have a really powerful, the primary categorization is what's called stages. So if you categorize all of your new people that come in as a lead, then you should be having a different conversation with everybody who's in the lead stage versus people that are in a nurture stage or a past client stage. So just categorizing at a high level. And then things like knowing the source. I mean, you can have a lot better conversion if you realize that these people came in through Zillow, or these people came in through your website, or these people came in through Facebook. It's a different conversation. Yeah.
And you know, and that goes for all agents. You know, I've met agents that have done really well, that, you know, they're not really inducing these past referrals or these past clients into giving referrals, right? And so that all comes down to is content is key, right? And again, you know, market stats, you can like Google market stats. That's played out, right? What I think you really need to do is do what Matt's doing, like here's how to renovate a property, you know, here's before and after, here's what's the style that's going. What we've been doing for the last, you know, I don't know, 6 or 7 years is showing before and after videos of the properties that we do, and then showing people how easy it is and how cheap it can be to take a house and show it in a better light. That's my advice for veteran agents, right? Don't just post market stats. Add value. And so where do you add value? You add value in design. You add value in renovation. You add value in negotiations. You tell them what books you're reading, right? And then, you know, you have a newsletter. Look, my career is based off of my newsletter. Now it's in video, okay? But that's how I got to where I am now. I mean, I have converted leads that registered to my site 4 years prior. And I cannot tell you how powerful that is. If you're a new agent, and even if you're not comfortable with video, make a newsletter. It takes, you know, make a good one and then build the content that can get everywhere. Was that?
They should get comfortable with video.
They should get comfortable with video. Absolutely. And that's, you know, the way of the future. But, you know, I think that the most important thing is that you are adding value to your clients, your past clients. And then call your past clients, not every day, not every week, not every month, right? And then when you call them, don't call them and say, hey, do you have anybody who wants to buy or sell real estate? No, just check in on them, right? You call them, you ask them how they're doing, how their house is doing, if they need anything, any recommendations for plumbers, painters, if they want maybe a stager. At Spyglass Realty, we have 2 certified stagers, okay? And my team can call their past clients and say, look, I'm just curious. I know you bought that house a few months ago. If you're thinking about doing any, painting, we can come by, we can do a Facebook Live, and I can get you recommendations, right, Matt?
You just hit on something is overlooked by a lot of real estate agents. We're in the business of real estate, which means that's plumbers, roofers, inspectors, the works. You need to have at least a reference that you can refer people in all those categories. Just don't say, oh, I don't know. That's a terrible answer, and you do yourself a huge disservice to a potential client that asks for that reference, because if you don't have at least one, then they're going to be like, what are they doing in this business?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can't just show up every 7 years and get a check. It doesn't work out.
Yeah, you need
we are lifestyle concierge for our past clients and future referrals, right? And that's the way I see it. Okay, so let me just say, if you're looking for agent training, okay, Kelly, please put in, we've got an agent training on hashtags. We have the agent technology where we feature all the technology we use. And then I recently did about a 7-8 minute training on how agents should be following up on, on qualified leads. Matt?
We should throw a link in from the video me, you, and Johnny did a couple months ago talking about agents, and I forget the video title of it, but
the top 3 things agents need to succeed. Yeah, Kelly, if you can find that, put it in. If you can't find it right now, we'll put it in later. Okay, so Lee, any other advice you can give for either someone starting a business or someone that's trying to revamp their career?
Well, I mean, I love really what Matt and Johnny said. I think it's being consistent. It's having conversations. It's knowing what to say in those conversations, which doesn't always mean that you know everything about everything, but watching the hot sheets, if that's the thing, watch your area, watch your neighborhood. Something to dovetail on Matt's open house thing too is if you're holding an open house, which would probably be my number 1 answer. If you came to me right now and said, what should I do? I have I just got my license yesterday. Do an open house, but show up with, in Georgia, we print out the tax record. So it's got the square footage. It's got a bunch of additional information. And then print out every other listing in that neighborhood. Because when that person comes up to you and they're like, oh, that one around the corner, how many bedrooms did that have? And you go, let me get my phone.
Mm-hmm.
You just lost that person as a client.
Be prepared to study that.
Right.
And by the same token, when you're calling your past clients, have up the MLS, or maybe take a couple minutes before. And I'm not necessarily saying that you need to jump into that with them, but maybe you should. Maybe if it's been 6 months and they're the same house, is for sale or has sold for 6 months, that's a great conversation starter right there.
Well,
right?
the other thing about open houses. The other thing about open houses where people drop the ball, and it's funny because I've heard people complain about it. People are like, I just had this open house and just a bunch of neighbors came. And I'm like, dude, you just met other potential sellers. Like, what's so bad about that?
Yeah. Right. And exactly. You're adding value to these people if you're prepared.
Right.
So look, Lee, where can people find you?
So the website for our consulting company is amplifiedsolutions.com. Yep. Pretty straight ahead. We're pretty focused on hiring and that growth period between hires. So it's a sort of a growth cycle, we like to call it, where you're either hiring or you're basically preparing to hire or otherwise grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we'll drop in your social media here in a little bit. And, to give a little bit of referral, I gave Lee a check about a year and a half ago, and I've been giving him a check every month since then. And so he, you know, and that's the best testament of someone that you recommend, is that you know, he helps me structure my business. If you are a team leader or an agent that needs some kind of focus, and we're not talking about your typical, how many calls did you make, Lee, make today? But if you're trying to take your business from either single agent to a team, or from a small team to a real brokerage, I can't speak highly enough about Lee Adkins. So guys, we got to wrap it up right now. Thank you so much. Before we go, one more thing. If you are watching this on Facebook, click like if you like what we say. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you're watching this on Facebook, type the word agent in the remarks. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then hit subscribe and let us know if you have any questions. And if you're watching this on Instagram, go to our profile and go to the Facebook Live link, and you will be able to subscribe for future broadcast. All right, guys, thank you so much. See you guys another time.